Our next presenter is Help Heal Veterans Board member, Dr. Keith Stuessi. Keith is a primary care sports medicine physician specializing in traumatic brain injury. He spent 23 years on active duty with tours at naval hospitals in Keflavik, Camp Pendleton, and Camp Lejeune. He also set up the DoD's first in-theater concussion clinic in Afghanistan in 2010. Currently, he serves as a subject matter expert working with the Traumatic Brain Injury Center of Excellence. Please welcome Dr. Keith Stuessi.
Well, thank you, Tracy. So for everyone out there in virtual land, it's truly an honor to be here with all of you. As Tracy said, I was a Navy primary care sports med doc for 23 years, retired about 6 years ago. And I've been with the board here at Help Heal Vets for going on almost 3 years. And I think that the work that we do is really fantastic. And I hope all you are getting some benefit out of this. And so one of the things that I am a specialist in is traumatic brain injury. And through that, I got to be involved with a project a few years back called Mind-Body Medicine. And this is more when I was on active duty. And from that, I've used a lot of these techniques in my practice. And I think it's a very timely project for what we're doing here today. And so I just wanted to give 5 to 10 minutes and talk to you folks about mindfulness, what it means, and how you can possibly integrate it into your daily lives. So I'm going to pull up my PowerPoint here. So let's just make sure that, can everyone see that? We good to go?
Yeah, we're good to go.
Okay, perfect. So I hope you can all see this. So I just want to, like I said, spend a few minutes here, and I put in the title here, mindfulness, but there's another title that some of you may or may not heard of. It's called In the Zone, and that's kind of a broader topic, a term that we use that includes mindfulness. And I just wanted to include that because sometimes people may hear that and be like, well, what exactly is that? And so what is mindfulness? And honestly, it's the technical definition. When you pare it down, is what we call this moment-to-moment non-judgmental awareness. And you're saying, what the heck is that, Keith? Well, it's what it really means is that we are aware of who we are, what we're doing at the time, and not being overly reactive to what's happening in our environment. Okay. And so the best example I can give is being mindful is honestly doing the kit right now that you're doing. I can take that example, and the fact that you're focusing on one thing right now, hopefully for most of you or for all of you, if you happen to make a mistake, it's not a big deal. Rose earlier, she found out that she was doing the stitching a little bit off, and she didn't panic. She just said, okay, it happens and I'm going to move on. And that's honestly what mindfulness is all about. And there are really two components of it, but it's participating in something, accepting it, and then kind of experiencing those sensations. And ultimately, it triggers what we call the relaxation response in our body. And I'm going to get more into that in a second. But that's ultimately what it does, and it can be very helpful. As I mentioned earlier, the broader term that we use oftentimes is something called in the zone, and that can encompass a whole lot of different things, and mindfulness is just part of that kind of being in the zone. So if you guys can see this little cartoon here, I love this because it's really, you see the person walking the dog, and is it mindful, 2 words, or are you mindful? And on the left, you can see that's typically us, all humans. We have a lot going on in our lives and a lot of emotion and a lot of things that we're trying to jumble all at once. And here the dog is just going on its little walk and just enjoying the surroundings, and their minds are probably always mindful. So I think this is a good way to describe the difference from your mind being full and actually being mindful. And hopefully that can help you kind of see what that means. So I'm a doctor and partially a scientist, and I like to look at benefits, right? If I give a medication to someone, there's always risks, there's always benefits. And I was thinking about this morning, that as a physician, if I was taught in med school that I could give someone a pill that would help with their heart rate, reduce pain, improve a focus and attention, improve memory, all these great things, I would say, sign me up. What is that? What is that drug? What is that pill? And as you'll see here, mindfulness does all of these incredibly great things. And I think as physicians, oftentimes we don't think about stuff like this, but I want you all to think about this, because I think there are things you can incorporate into your daily life that will help your health, your overall health, because there's just a lot of wonderful things. So first of all, it can help with your heart rate, your breathing rate, especially when you do breathing exercises that we're going to show you. It can really help with oxygen consumption, which is always a great thing. There are studies to show that it can improve attention and focus. So just by taking time out of your day and doing either a project like you're doing right now, or even just sitting down and outside and enjoying your surroundings and focusing on the environment, that can help with attention and focus. It's been shown in some studies to reduce pain. We know that the craft kits, we did a survey a couple of years ago, and we showed that people in general that do the kits, it helps reduce their overall pain, which is a wonderful side benefit. It increases your positive emotion. It can even help reduce depression and anxiety. So if any of you have that out there, this is one thing that we teach people as a very simple thing to do that can help you with that. Compassion, I think in today's day and age, it seems like we're so polarized, a little compassion isn't going to hurt. So I think it's been shown to help with that. And also, Joe talked earlier about, social connection, and especially during COVID, where it's been very tough. An event like this, we can help kind of connect people, even if it's virtual, and doing some mindfulness activities, especially in a group, can be very beneficial. And the last thing I'll say is the memory component. Again, it affects a certain part of the brain. And if you do this on a regular basis, there's actually studies to show that it can improve your cognition and your memory, which obviously is a wonderful thing, especially as we all age a little bit. So there are various techniques that we talk about. I think the two most common that people have heard of are breathing techniques and meditation. And so there are various types of meditation. I put down just several that I teach. Body scan, there's something called progressive muscle relaxation. But those two techniques are probably the most common. But things that people may not be aware of, journaling, and what we call daily affirmation and awareness. I mean, just the art of putting down your thoughts at the end of the day for 5 or 10 minutes can be very beneficial, and that's a mindful activity. Some of you may participate in yoga or qigong. That's another form of mindfulness. You're in the moment, concentrating on that, and it has benefits. Social connection, again, mentioned that. And then lastly, I've already talked a little bit about it, but the arts and crafts. And there have been several papers that have been written specifically on crafting, like you're doing today, and how it can actually help with various things, all those things we talked about earlier with relaxation and stress and memory and everything. It's been shown to do that, which is, for me, as a physician, being on the board is such a great thing to witness and to see all of you do this and know that it's helping. So there's really 2 steps to being mindful. It's pretty simple. The first part is that you have a focusing tool, and that could be a breath that you take, focusing on that. It could be a word, it could be a phrase, it could be a prayer. You could visualize something like we do in meditation. And then the other thing is, and people are surprised when I talk about this, but it's non-judgmental. And what we mean by that is that if you're doing a project or doing something and you mess up, which we all do, that you're not critical on yourself. You're not beating yourself over your head because you did something wrong. And that gets into play with meditation. And a lot of times it's hard to focus. And we always teach that you always come back and focus on your breath and whatnot, but not getting upset or just getting really frustrated. It's best try not to do that. And that's really, if you're mindful, that's what it's all about. So there's a couple of breathing techniques. I'm sure several of you have maybe even done these yourself, but The two that I commonly talk about, one is very simple. It's literally counting up to a number, usually 3, 4, 5. And it's as simple as taking a breath in and counting to yourself 1, 2, 3, 4 as you inhale. And then as you exhale, 4, 3, 2, 1. Of course, I'm doing a little fast, but that's essentially how you do it. And you can take these little breaks throughout the day when you're stressed out, and even if you're not stressed out, just to help you relax. The other one is called the box method. This is very well known in the military, especially within the SEAL community. This is one of the methods that they use. And you can see here by the box that I have, what it involves is inhaling and then holding your breath for a period of time, and then exhaling and holding again. And when you first start out, these numbers, you can do however long you want, however long you can tolerate. 2, 3 seconds inhale, holding it for a second, and then 2, 3 seconds exhale is totally fine. As you get better at it and do it more often, these numbers start to go up. And I know that, again, like in the SEAL community, oftentimes these folks can hold their breath for 10 seconds or 15 seconds and do 5 to 8 seconds on their inhale and exhale. So it's something you practice, but as you practice, you get better. And again, there's a lot of great benefits to that. So lastly, how can you introduce this into your everyday life? Well, the first thing is I always recommend people kind of take time and appreciate your surroundings. And this can be as simple as walking to your car or going out to get your mail. We did an exercise once where we were told to do that as part of a class. And I was amazed. Every day I used to walk from my car to work when I got there. And I never stopped and realized that there were 2 fruit trees on the path that I walked. I didn't even know they were there. And you can hear birds chirping and different sounds, wind going through trees. So just the simple fact of or appreciating your surroundings and being in the moment, that's being mindful. Breathing, we really recommend breathing techniques, and the 2 that I showed you, if you can implement that once or twice a day, especially when you're feeling stressed out, that can really be helpful. And then the last thing is the meditation. Again, that's the most common form of mindfulness, usually that people are familiar with. If you haven't already done it, there's lots of, if you can get online and go to the internet and just search, there's a lot of free meditations out there where they'll actually walk you through it. Many gyms, I live in Bremerton, Washington, and we have YMCA here, and they offer meditation classes 2 or 3 times a week. Community centers do it. I also know that many of the VA hospitals now have integrated mindfulness and meditation into their clinics. And then ask your provider, whoever your primary care doc is, about any community resources that you have, because many times they offer free classes, especially to seniors. So those are just some simple things you can do to help out. And I hope that that kind of piques your interest in it. And you can try a few of these simple, at least breathing techniques, and continue with the kits, because again, we know that just sitting down in the act of doing the kit is something that's very mindful, and it can help you. And I'm sure all of you have maybe even witnessed some of the benefits. So that's all I have.